views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime. Today, we're going to update you on what's happening in the latest in the news as well as politics. Did you know that colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in the United States? It's also one of the most preventable. Joining us to talk about treatment and prevention, we've got experts from Montefiore. Plus, each year, the New York State Association for College Admission Counseling partners, along with colleges and high schools throughout the state, that serve as host sites for professional development forum series addressing relevant topics and the current trends in the field of college admission counseling. This year, we're going to be focusing on some legal issues in college admissions, and topics will include DACA and admissions and early decision deadlines and more. Plus, a little bit later on, Lehman College celebrates its 50th anniversary on April 11th by honoring an illustrious group of alumni, philanthropists, as well as friends for the work in the fields of business philanthropy, activism, and the arts at a special gala, the Leadership Award Dinner. We'll tell you more a little bit later on in the show. And then lastly, there is one more way to tell a story. As social media increases, bloggers in the Bronx have taken this platform as a way to showcase the best in our borough. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, March 28th. You're watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Now, we want to encourage you to stay connected to us, and you can find out more about us at Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, a lot has been going on in the borough over the past week, and we begin now with some Bronx updates. As lawmakers in Washington, D.C. are debating gun legislation, students across the United States are discussing the possibility of more protests in response to the recent school shooting in Parkland, Florida, and across the world. Now, to showcase national unity, students from across the Bronx took to the Bronx streets in National School Walkout Day on Wednesday, March 14th, protesting gun violence in schools. Many students held a moment of silence for the fallen victims, while wearing shirts and presenting signs to amplify their voice in hope of proper attention from the government. Over 3,000 schools across the United States took part in the protests, scheduled exactly 1 month after the Parkland, Florida school massacre. Many of these demonstrations took place right here in our borough. Well, the New York City Housing Authority is making some upgrades. NYCHA is providing some up-to-date information on utility services in the new tab titled Outages under the residents category. Now, after being uninformed for so long, New York City housing residents are finally receiving the latest information on their buildings. Now, this is one of New York City Housing Authority's new additions to becoming more transparent with their residents. NYCHA's also outlined the progress of each of their housing complex improvements on a map showing how they spent their $1 billion budget. Well, we want you to stay tuned because we have to take a quick break. But coming up after this, we're going to get Lee Bynes in the studio. He'll be discussing the latest in the world of politics, bringing us all the latest from Washington, D.C. Stay tuned. Much more coming right up on Open. We'll here now discuss the latest on the Russian spy poisoning issue, as well as DACA update and the March for Life protests taking place last weekend. We will have now in studio our political expert, Lee Bynes, here to join us. And Lee, a lot to talk about.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, so let's get right. Let's get right at it. Of course, I want to talk the latest about the Russian probe.
Right.
A lot still being investigated. What can you tell us about bringing us up to speed?
Well, you know what, it's funny because Theresa May is pretty much mobilizing the entire world right now against Russia regarding the poisonings that was done in Salisbury, England, as well as there was a strangulation. They don't talk about that this much either, a strangulation in London. Over the last couple of weeks, they've been bringing the entire international community down on Russia. However, there's something that's a little bothersome because Theresa May has yet to produce any evidence, proof or anything of their findings. And there's been no independent investigation by credible sources who have experience in detecting and determining who may be responsible for the nerve agents that's been used in this particular incident. So I just find it a little difficult right now. I'm not a shill for the Russians. I have written a couple of books on Russia and Vladimir Putin, and they were somewhat flattery because as far as I'm concerned, Vladimir Putin is doing exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to make Russia great again. But I just found it pretty interesting that Donald Trump would accept the information and intelligence from the Brits, but he won't even accept the intelligence from the United States.
Which has been the criticism. How do you accept the intelligence information that's coming from Theresa May and out of England, but yet and still here at home, all the things that have been said and no admission that the Russians really had any involvement?
You know what, that is a great lead-in, and I got the perfect answer to you, answer for you on that. You know, James Clapper, former CIA director, as well as John Brennan, former director of national intelligence, they've both been out in the media talking to anybody who's willing to listen, saying that from their point of view, they suspect that Donald Trump has been compromised, and which would give you a reason to understand why he's been so timid when it comes to Russia or anything related to Vladimir Putin. My problem with that situation is that considering what we already know about Donald Trump and all of the sexual allegations against him, the Stormy Daniels, the McDougal young lady, and all of this parade of lawsuits that he's involved in, with what we already know about Donald Trump, how much more could Vladimir Putin and the Russians have on him? It's got to be pretty bad because the average married man that are facing the allegations and the lawsuits that he's facing right now would be, well, I'd have to use that for another term. It would have
another term, right? Not cable term, right?
But that's not a cable term that I could use. But they would be
in trouble,
in serious trouble going home. How he's able to get away with this with his wife, Melania, I have no idea. Perhaps it's an arrangement that they have between them. Maybe she has a non-disclosure agreement that she signed. I have no idea. But I do know that that Donald Trump had brought to the table kicking and screaming in order to get these 60 diplomats kicked out of the country. They've got 7 days to vacate. They're on their way right now. And again, this is a process that's being led by the Brits and not by the United States.
In other world news, we have a big situation going on between North Korea and China. Both leaders are meeting. Give us the latest here.
Interesting that this would happen because if you recall, during the South Korea Olympics, President Moon Jae-in met with members of the North Korean delegation, sat down with them. They decided to have a talk. Second big meeting that came up between Xi Jinping and North Korea. They met yesterday. They were in China, Beijing, for about 4 days, discussing where they were going to be. And it seems to me that a lot of the negotiations on what's going to happen on the Korean Peninsula is already happening right now. By the time Donald Trump and his crew reaches Pyongyang, they're going to have that in Seoul. They're going to meet in Seoul if it happens. We don't know. The deal, whatever the deal is probably going to be done already. And the Trump administration is not gaining any friends, and that's probably one of the reasons why Kim Jong-un met with him in China early on is because Donald Trump has been giving the Chinese hell, quite frankly, in terms of going after them with regards to the tariffs, going after them because of intellectual property theft as far as the United States is concerned. The Chinese are trying to do all that they can to keep a trade war from happening, but they are willing to retaliate.
What's the blowback going to be, given the fact that he has come up with these sanctions/tariffs?
Well, with regards to North Korea, it's difficult to say, but based upon who he selected to be his new national security advisor, John Bolton. John Bolton is a hawk like you wouldn't believe. He was one of the main advisors that talked the United States into Iraq. To this day, he still thinks it's a good idea. He's been very, very hard on the Iranians. He's been trying to get the United States to back out of that deal. And he's just wrote a op-ed piece about 30 days ago putting together a legal reason for bombing North Korea first. So with all of that saber rattling going on and the team that he's built that are definitely looking more for a first strike option as opposed to negotiating, the North Koreans are going to come to the table with a hard line, and with them meeting with China first and pretty much getting on China's good side, they're going to have some legs to stand on.
DACA is the big talk of the country still.
Well,
okay, I'll let you.
Well, yeah, because I'm kind of excited about that topic. I've been following it a while. If you recall, just last week, the president, to his chagrin, supposedly signed a $1.3 trillion budget. Now, in that bill, there was an opportunity for Congress to take a stand and say, well, we want to do something about DACA, we want to do something about immigration reform right now before we put this thing through. Not a word was said. So as right now, with regards to DACA, with regards to the overall undocumented community, they are still in limbo. But that's not even a good thing either, simply because of the fact that ICE is moving on with their operations and picking up people left and right. The other thing is that just the other day, the Census Bureau issued an edict that they're going to be having a question on that questionnaire, whether or not there's any undocumented residents in the household, or you have to sign off that you are a U.S. citizen. Now, what I haven't had a chance to dig up right now is what are the repercussions for not telling the truth when you do it. Is that a crime? Because as you know, all it takes is any crime whatsoever, no matter how small, for you to qualify to be deported. Mm-hmm. So what we can say with regards to DACA right now is difficult. They have no advocates right now in Congress. It seems that business as usual is moving on. Pretty much what happened to health care. You know, what they actually repealed or did as much as what they could do to repeal Obamacare, but they didn't replace it with anything, and nobody's talking about it anymore. But here we are.
So, of course, we'll have to take a look, come back next week, have a little bit more of a discussion about this particular issue of DACA. A lot of things are still on the table, and things are fluctuating from week to week. That's why we always bring Lee in. Lee, thanks a lot.
Good to be back.
All right. Listen, take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open. Stay with us. Coming right back right after this.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
Oh.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Did you know that colon cancer is the third most common cancer in incidence and the second leading cause from death from cancer? Well, according to statistics by the American Cancer Society, prevention and self-care is key when it comes to good health. We have joining us now Dr. Mariya Kobi. She's a Montefiore Radiologist talking to us about colon cancer. And good to have you, Dr. Kobi.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So, as we said, this is the month, really, where we're paying real good attention and awareness to colon cancer. For people who don't know about colon cancer, give us a little bit of background.
So, as you've mentioned, it is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States, and over 90% can be prevented by screening. Colon cancer arises from a polyp. Majority of colon cancers arise from polyps that are in the colon, and that can be prevented by screening tests. Now, interestingly, there was a survey done in the Bronx that was funded by National Cancer Institute that looked at various factors. One is that non-native English speakers are less likely to be screened than general population. Also, that we found that we need to talk about screening tests 5 years before we actually get screened. Also, African Americans are at higher risk for colon cancer than the remainder of population.
So looking at this now, obviously the word of awareness actually comes out. Is there any particular reason why we're finding that people aren't taking advantage of screenings? Is it the fact that they just don't know, or is there that fear factor? What are we talking about here?
Probably it's multiple things that you've mentioned. That's why we're here to encourage the screening. American Cancer Society recommends screening for anybody who is over age 50. There's several screening tests available for colon cancer screening. The most common one is colonoscopy that everybody I'm sure have heard about. It's performed by a gastroenterologist under anesthesia. A scope is placed into a rectum and is passed throughout the colon to the beginning of the colon, and as the physician passes the scope, they're able to remove the polyps as they see them or take biopsies of any lesions that look suspicious. There are other alternatives to colonoscopy, virtual colonoscopy, and I'm a radiologist, so I know a lot about that. Virtual colonoscopies are done in the radiology department. They do not require sedation, which may actually be a good alternative for people that are either afraid of anesthesia or have multiple diseases that can cause complications secondary to anesthesia. And that is done in the radiology department. Patient comes in, a thin tube is placed in the rectum. The colon is distended by gas, carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by the body easily, and then we exhale it. When the colon is distended well, we take 2 scans. One scan with the patient lying on their back, and the other scan with the patient lying on their side or in their stomach. Each scan takes 10 seconds. Once the scan is done, the patient is able to go on with their daily activities for the day since there's no anesthesia. There are other advantages to virtual colonoscopy, aside from anesthesia, is that we also scan the entire abdomen it's a CAT scan. So we scan the entire abdomen, we can find diseases or early cancerous growths elsewhere outside of the colon. The downside of virtual colonoscopy is that, as opposed to regular colonoscopy, if we do see a polyp, we cannot remove it during the exam. Right. However, only 1 in 300 patients that undergo virtual colonoscopy have a polyp that needs to be removed. And the risk of perforation with virtual colonoscopy is significantly less. Interestingly, former President Barack Obama, when he had his screening test for colon cancer, decided to go for virtual colonoscopy. So
it made it a whole lot, it made it a whole lot more popular to other people after hearing and seeing what he actually did. So let's talk about the process. If one is diagnosed with colon cancer, what goes from there? Because of course there's a big fear factor that's attached to that. What are the treatment options that are available for anybody who's been diagnosed?
So first of all, screening is the key. And if you do end up with a polyp that is removed that is cancerous polyp, usually these cancers are picked up very early on. They're easier to treat and with less morbidity. If the colon cancer is picked up, then your physician or the specialist that you're seeing will send you to an oncologist and surgeon to decide the next course of treatment. It will depend how aggressive the cancer is, how far it has progressed, whether you'll need surgery or you'll need some more systemic chemotherapy type of treatments.
And right now at Montefiore, there's a very special program taking place today.
Yes, we will have a Twitter chat later today at 4 o'clock at Montefiore NYC talking about colon cancer, answering questions. There will be multiple physicians, radiologists that will be live answering questions.
Now, I don't want to steal any thunder, but what are some of the more frequent questions that you do get asked about?
Well, the questions that we do get asked is how often do we need to get screened? So the American Cancer Society recommends screening with colonoscopy after age of 50 every 10 years. And if you opt out to get virtual colonoscopy, it should be done every 5 years. So that's a question that we often get asked. People do not know about virtual colonoscopy. They do not know the differences. So we often get those questions, and sedation is a big thing. When people hear that virtual colonoscopy does not require sedation, people get excited,
right?
Because often people are scared of anesthesia,
right?
And we talk about the risk of perforation during complications during the different screening tests. So one of the complications is perforation of the colon during the procedure, and virtual colonoscopy carries significantly smaller risk of perforation.
So we want to tell people that you can take part in the Twitter conversation. What they have to do is just log on and go to Twitter. You can have that Twitter conversation talking about colon cancer screenings and awareness. And this month is the month of awareness, and there's going to be the screenings and also some tests available coming up too, right? Right.
And I think the key to remember is that over 90% of cancers can be prevented by screening tests. And people, the moment you hit 50, you have to speak to your physician, to the specialist about screening, whichever route you decide to go.
All right. Well, Dr. Kobi, we want to thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. And we, of course, want to tell you, if you want to be a part of that Twitter chat, 4 p.m., you can go on and find out more about colon cancer and colon screenings. Taking a quick break. We got more show coming up. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you for coming and joining us.
The angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count, because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
York State Association for College Admission Counseling serves as host sites for professional development forum series addressing relevant topics and current trends in the field of college admission counseling. We welcome now Susan Davidson, who's the immediate past president of the New York State Association for College Admission Counseling, and good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Good to
Great
have
to
you.
be
Yes,
here.
we're glad to have you.
Thanks.
And right now is a very important time because some things are going on at Manhattanville College as we speak, right?
That's right. One of our professional development forums is happening right now as we speak. The New York State Association for College Admission Counseling is a group that has about 1,500 members statewide. And we are from the college side, we're from the high school side, so we're college admission counselors, we're high school counselors, we're community-based organization folks, we're independent counselors, retirees, I mean, you name it. So our membership really spans that group. And we work to help students and families in the process of transitioning from high school to college. We are part of a parent organization called the National Association for College Admission Counseling, always a mouthful.
Right.
And there are 23 state and regional affiliates, and New York State ACAC is one of those. One of the programs that we run, and we're so happy to talk about it today, is our professional development forums. We run 6 or 7 of them, depending on the weather, throughout the state.
Right.
And there's always a theme, a topic each year that we're talking about, and it's really by colleagues for colleagues. We are professionals in our field, and it's basically, what do you see at your school, or what's happening in your arena that could help somebody in another school.
So you have all these coming together.
Yep.
And so as you talk about forums, what are some of the most, popular discussions that are going on right now?
This year we were talking about legal issues in admissions, and we're not lawyers.
Right.
So it's really from our perspective. One of the topics that we talked about was DACA, and basically dreamers, essentially that's the dreamer group, who are finishing up their high school education. Of course, Plyer versus Doe tells them that they, can't be discriminated against in the K-12 system, so based on immigration status. And then all of a sudden you reach 12th grade and the students are saying, well, where can I go next? And a lot of that has to do with the fact that students aren't able to apply for financial aid as well. Now, we are lucky to be living in New York State, I've got to say, because New York State does allow students who've graduated from high school in New York State to attend a state or city school at the in-state tuition. And that really helps our students along the way. Thankfully, there are programs like the Dream.us who also try to fund undocumented students to head off into their post-secondary world and provide them with that education. And some of our members, big shout out to our members at Lehman College here,
Yes.
Lori Austin, Director of Admissions and Recruitment, Chris Milton, who is the Director of one of the STEM programs here at Lehman, and of course Michelle Harris is across the street at High School for American Studies at Lehman, right here at Lehman. And these folks are dealing with these students every day and working with these students every day to try to get them into programs that will then help them after college as well.
So for those who are attending this particular forum, and I know you got some forums coming up, I know there's one in September again. Talk to us about what is the curriculum there, and how do people get involved?
Fantastic. New York State, nysacac.org is the place to go. Our programs happen throughout the year. Many of them take place in the spring. And a couple things that are coming up. We do have the forums, which happen. The great thing about the forums is that they're free for members, or about $20 to attend if you're a non-member. So we really try to make it accessible. There were about 125 people at the Fordham University event that I attended last week to have these conversations. And then we move into our season where we're gonna have a super conference at Marist College, and that's gonna bring together our New York State colleagues and our New England colleagues to really talk about issues that our students are facing. And that's June 4th. That's going to be June 5th through the 8th, I should say, for that conference. We have a program called Camp College, which brings students to a college campus for 2 weekends in the summer. College campuses will host students, teach them more about the college admissions process. We have a Summer Institute, which is a professional development program for folks that are newer to our profession. So I've been in the profession just about 12 years now, both on the college side and the high school side. Folks who are in for about 0 to 5 years might attend the program over the summer to be able to learn more from some seasoned professionals. We do advocacy work. We go to Albany. We go to Washington, D.C. We want to talk to our state legislators from the perspective of us being experts in the field. And getting involved is simple. It's really just about becoming a member, starting to follow our action alerts, follow our newsletters, things that are happening throughout the year, and hopefully attending our big super conference.
So we talked a little bit about some of the issues that you face. What are some of the issues that students are facing right now that maybe we're not aware of?
Oh my gosh, so students
Where do I start, right?
I know, I mean, from everybody's thinking about mental health issues, and so school counselors are basically tasked with many, many roles. As we know, one of them is certainly in the mental health realm, and that can often take over. Counselors find that they may not have enough time in a day to handle all the casework that they have to handle, along with helping students apply to colleges. So our national association recommends one counselor to every 250 students. In New York State, we are way over that throughout the state. We're about one counselor to between 400 and 500 students. And the goal would be to try to get more school counselors within the school environment to be able to help students with some of the things that they're facing both at home and then in the college admissions process. To the college admissions process specifically, there's a lot of media out there talking about the frenzy and it's getting harder to get in and things like that. And the truth is there's a very small percent of colleges that take less than 33% of applicants. So there's 3,000 to 4,000 colleges in this country that people can look at. And so what we try to do as school counselors is really open the eyes of our students. Maybe you didn't think about this school. Maybe you'd be a really good fit for this school, that type of thing. And we try to make sure that they have a balanced list of colleges, some that are going to be reaches, and some that are really going to be a little bit safer, more likely for them.
And so what about, we talked about students, we talked about you guys, what about parents? There are some challenges with parents as well.
Parents are a big part of this, as you know, obviously. Being a parent, I now see it from that perspective as well. And parents want the best for their students. I mean, they want the best for their kid. The best thing parents can do is be really involved in the process. They can be the scheduler, they can be the timekeeper, they can be the folks that schedule the college visits. They're the ones that have the spreadsheet of when the applications are due. They're the ones that are oftentimes very involved in the financial aid process because, of course, we need the parental information to go through the financial aid process with the FAFSA and the CSS profile. And so we work with parents all the time, and we really try to include them as partners in this process.
Yeah, so if people want more information, what do they do?
New York State, nysacac.org. And there's email addresses on there as well. Mine would be past.president@nysacac.org.
And so being the past president, what was the highlight for your presidency?
Oh my gosh, it's been an amazing ride. I've been 12 years on the board, 3 years within this cycle. It's the best part is working with my colleagues in this field and just seeing their passion for students.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Susan Davidson, our guest here in the studio, and she's the past president of the New York State Association for College Admission Counseling. Thank you so much for coming, Sharon.
Thank you.
They got something going on right now as you speak at Manhattanville College, so want to take a quick break, let you know we got more shows staying with us. We want you to do that. And coming up, we're going to talk to some bloggers who are making a difference right here in our borough. We'll be right back after this.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Well, you got to ask the question, what is going on in the borough of the Bronx? And for that, we tune to our Bronx bloggers, all the way from tourism to culture and arts. We've got some bloggers from the Bronx. We welcome now founder Deyla Sabio and fellow bloggers Ashley Merlani and V. Clark, right? Yep. There we go. And so we're glad to have them all here and sharing with us. And listen, just want to say thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so Deyla, take it away. What is going on in our borough? I mean, you've got some blogging going on, and what are you hitting on?
Well, right now I'm planning the second event for the Blogger Social, which we're looking to launch in August for the summertime. As you know, we had our Blogger Social at the Bronx Museum March 3rd. It was a huge success. We had over 250 innovators from all over the Bronx come out and support. So we're looking to do another one. Hopefully 500 innovators.
That's it. Well, Ashley, talk to me a little bit about what's going on with you and what have you been talking about?
Well, I'm more like a YouTuber, so I vlog throughout my day, and due to the fact that I'm disabled, I talk about how it is to run around within New York. I'm just day-to-day life, and I just inspire people to just live life and live within the moment.
And so your vlogs, per se, talk about just, really from a disabled perspective. Talk to us about that and what's been the response it's gotten.
I'm just living my full potential of my purposes, and I'm just helping others to release that inner potential, because sometimes you just need someone to kick it in the nuts for you to go ahead. So at the end of the day, it's just showing you, if I could do it, you could do it too. It's a kind of a Me Too attitude. So you just gotta go ahead and do it.
That's
just
right.
go for it.
And I love her vlogs. Have you seen her YouTube videos?
I did.
Oh my God.
I have fun watching her. And I'm just like, oh my
even her
God,
Instagram is really good too.
Yeah.
It took me 5 years to actually come together with it.
Yes.
That's
She had
awesome.
2,000 views in one video.
Yeah.
Right? And it's amazing.
Amazing. And V, talk to me about what you've been up to.
I've been working on my website. It's vclarknyc.com, and it features different creatives throughout the city. I really try to focus a lot on Brooklyn and the Bronx. I spent a large part of my childhood in Brooklyn. I went to school in Brooklyn. Shout out to CUNY, Medgar Evers. And I live in the Bronx and have always lived in the Bronx. We have a lot of creative people out here, a lot of people doing different things. We're full of culture. We have a lot of music. We have a lot of style, a lot of fashion. We're very different, and I feel like it's not showcased as much. So it provides a format and a platform for that to show.
So what do you have coming up that you really want to focus on?
Well, right now, in the next month, in April, we're putting out Slugs Volume 3. So Slugs is shots of different people from Bronx and Brooklyn, Manhattan and Queens as well, who are doing different things. It's portrait shots. It's like a photo series. And they're able to take photos, share their opinions about the American dream, if they believe there's an American dream. There are different aspirations, whether it might be travel, studying abroad, working on music, various kinds of things. And at her event, we actually had people in common. So some people who have shot for Slugs were also there. So it was kind of cool to be able to network in that kind of arena as well.
And so putting this event together, when you had all these innovators actually in one room, it gave you an opportunity, I guess, in many ways to see the various, talent that we've got across the city, but more particularly right here in our borough.
Absolutely.
Yes. I was so shocked to see everyone. Everyone was just so prepared to network. It seems like everyone was waiting to talk to people who are in the same field, that live in the same borough, because it's like we're brothers and sisters. So now we can work together. we can hop on projects together. And a lot of people are partnered up for future events in the Bronx.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
it completely turned around, and everyone's like, well, we're doing this, let's do that.
Right.
So I'm happy. I'm planning more events. So yeah.
And so for you, what's coming up for you down the pike?
To be honest, I'm just living day to day and just show people how to live their life. That's all. I'm not. I have a message, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna go ahead and produce content that's not gonna help people to come together. Because at the end of the day, I'm bringing people from the Bronx together and bring what it is all about within the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And so as a borough, I mean, obviously we're now seeing it in a new light. I mean, we've always known the great things that have happened, that are happening in the borough, the great things. But talk to us about, from a blogger's perspective, and the comments that you get. What are some of the comments that you get when you hear about and when you discuss our borough?
Well, I get that it's missing. Like it's a missing factor. So seeing it and seeing some other people that look like me or have had experiences like me or gone to schools that I've gone to or do the different things I do feels good, because a lot of times it feels lonely out here sometimes.
Yeah.
Just being young and being creative and being a little different or eccentric or a unique contribution to society.
There it is.
So it gets a little lonely. So like meeting different people and knowing, well, you live down the block from me and I have never knew that. And we can work on different things and create change and beyond just creative aspects, but even in nonprofit worlds or business worlds, then that's amazing.
Yeah, and there are a lot of businesses, there are a lot of restaurants, there are a lot of places.
Lot.
Absolutely.
And they're popping up like popcorn all over the place in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what's going to be your focus coming up?
Well, my focus right now is putting together some small events for my students. I'm an educational counselor on the side, and we are planning to take our students to Hawaii in July. And I want to put some events together to fundraise to take my students out of the Bronx to Hawaii. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, besides my bloggers events. Yeah.
And so for people who want to get into blogging, what kind of message do you want to send to them? People were scared, saying, listen, I don't know. Where do they get started? What do they do?
Know that it's okay to be scared. I'm scared now. Before I came up here, I said, girl, I'm scared. I don't know what we're going to do.
Girl.
But that's part of it. Part of it is change is different. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. It's like, am I doing this right? But as long as you're doing it right. And that's one of those things about blogging. All of our experiences are different. All of our different ventures are different. But it's our experiences. And that's all you have to go with. Just be yourself and be true and transparent. And you'll be okay.
Yeah. My advice really, to piggyback on what you said, is also reach out to the bloggers. Reach out, like DM them on Instagram, and send them an email and meet up with them for coffee dates and keep going, like consistently, like pick 3 and meet with them, because they're all friendly. We don't bite, we're all families. So.
What's the best advice that you've received when it comes to this?
Well, like what is to give or that I've received?
That you've received.
The best advice that I actually help other people like make their YouTube. I actually collaborate with other YouTubers from the Bronx, and they say, "Wow, you're really good at this." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Thanks." It took me 5 years just to start. So knowing that I help others to produce more content makes me happy, because I sparked a little bit of something in someone.
Yes, you did.
Right. So what advice do you give now that you're on the other side?
I just say just go for it. Now don't overthink it. Don't analyze it. Just do it. Because at the end of the day, I felt like when I started, I had nothing to show. And then 1 minute led to another where she said, I have an event. I'm like, cool, I could do that. And then it just connects the dot and it's like a snowball. And it just falls and it falls and it falls and it just becomes bigger. And that's what it is. And if you never start, you're never going to have something to work with.
Right. And so for people who want to find out how to get in touch with you, what do they do?
They can go to Instagram, this is vclarknyc, or on my website, it's www.vclarknyc.com.
Okay.
My YouTube is Ashley Merlaney, and my Instagram is Ashley Merlaney. It's just Melanie with an R.
Right. And Deyla?
Bloggerfromthebronx.com, Blogger from the Bronx on Instagram, and Blogger from the Bronx on Facebook.
And there you can be able to find out all about them. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming to share.
Oh, thank
We're
you.
going to find out, and next time we'll bring you back and we'll go in depth at what each of you are talking about, and we'll explore the borough of the Bronx through a blogger's perspective.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. All right, listen, taking a quick break. Got more shows. Stay with us. We'll be back more open right after this.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I bought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, Lehman College celebrates its 50th anniversary at its Leadership Awards dinner, and this will mark a half a century of empowering and educating students. Well, last week I had the opportunity to interview Myrna Rivera. She's the chairman of the Lehman College Foundation. We're going to take a look at what she says about the big gala. And welcome back. Lehman College will celebrate its 50th anniversary on April the 11th by honoring an illustrious group of alumni, philanthropists, and friends for their work in the fields of business philanthropy, activism, and the arts. It's going to be at a special gala at the Ziegfeld Ballroom. And here to tell us more is the chairman of the Lehman College Foundation, Myrna Rivera. Good to have you.
Thank you, Daren. It's great to be here.
Great. And 50th celebration.
It's a big deal.
Very huge. We know 50 is always big.
50 is big. It's a lot of successes to celebrate. A lot of wonderful stories, wonderful alum. And so we'll be celebrating the years, the stories, great honorees, our 75,000 alum, can you believe that? And our current 13,000 student population.
It's an awesome celebration.
Yeah.
When you talk about the alumni, I mean, the opportunity to just come back together and really celebrate 50 years. First of all, what does that mean for the college in 50 years?
Well, you know, Lehman was part of, originally was called Hunter in the Bronx. And it became an autonomous, you know, unto its own entity 50 years ago. And it has been an extraordinary travel and opportunity. Lehman serves the Bronx. It serves the surrounding region. And it's not just an educational institution, you know, it's a cultural center, it's an economic center, it's a motor for economic development for the borough. So it's really had an extraordinary impact on the Bronx and the surrounding area. So there's really a lot to celebrate. And we've got a lot of alum that are all over the city.
A lot of alum, and then also you've got some people getting some very distinguished awards as well.
We do. There are going to be 4 awards that evening. There's going to be a Distinguished Alum Award that will be given to Phyllis and Ivan Seidenberg, who are class of 71 and 72. Mr. Seidenberg was well known because he's the former chair and Chief Executive Officer of Verizon. And little did we know, he was, you know, alum from Lehman College. They will be awarded for their work with the Seidenberg Family Foundation that focuses on education and health and arts and culture. We are also going to award through the Medal for Business, Culture, and Civic Leadership to 2 other alum from Lehman, class of 76. Joanne and Christopher Stavro. They are advocates for educational opportunities all over the world, and they have numerous initiatives both in the United States and outside of the United States. There's going to be an artistic award for someone that we all very much know and love and admire, Kerry Washington, who's also part of the Lehman family. And we all know her as an activist and actress and producer, and someone who's very committed to an advocate for the arts programs, public education, and LGBT rights. And finally, we're going to honor posthumously Herbert H. Lehman and his wife, Edith. Their award will be accepted by their granddaughter, Wendy Lehman Lash. So we've got 4 wonderful moments of recognition at different points in history of Lehman College where young students at the time became young professionals who went on to make major contributions in their communities, in their businesses, and in their places where they chose to live. So we're very excited about bringing them all together and celebrating their lives and their successes as part of Lehman's 50th anniversary.
So if people want to be a part of the celebration, how do they do that and what can they do?
Well, first of all, you can go to the Lehman website, lehman.edu/gala, and you can buy tickets, you can buy tables, you can buy ads through the website. You can also email lehman@cmevents.net. And you can call CMI Events, which is our planner for this event, CMI Events. Their phone number is 347-756-0560.
Make sure you reach out and do that if you want to be a part of the Lehman College's 50th celebration, and it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for all of us to get together and really celebrate the great work that Lehman College has done, past, present, as well as future. You mentioned a whole lot of names. You talked about people working in the field of education and arts. Does it ever astound you, the Lehman alums and the way that they've just spanned out across society?
I think that it's an extraordinary story that, Lehman is like a jewel in the middle of the Bronx and quite unknown. When you look at the stories, when you talk to these people and you talk to them about their experience here on campus. I'm an alum, I'm class of '74. And being at Lehman changed my life. It opened doors that otherwise would never have been open to me. The beauty of the campus, just walking onto the campus, is an experience unto itself. In addition, obviously, to the educational opportunity, the cultural center, the sports, the medical research that's done here. It's really quite an extraordinary story when you think about it. And the fact that we serve so many students, many of whom testify to the fact that they are first in their families to graduate from college, it really means that there's a cultural and social and economic phenomena that happens and is bred on the Lehman campus, which I think is a story that's second to none, personally.
So if you want to have the opportunity, please come on out on April the 11th, celebrating Lehman College's 50th anniversary, and yes, an illustrious group of people celebrating the past, the present, and the future. Tickets are still available. They're available up until they're sold out. But
That's
we want to make sure that everybody gets in there. What does it mean for you as a member of the class of '74 now to be chairing this, very special event, the 50th anniversary, and then you're leading the foundation as well?
It's one of the most humbling and honorable experiences of my life, personally and professionally. I was tapped after 30 years of having left Lehman to join the board by our prior president, Ricardo Fernandez. I had a personal tour of the campus. I had not been back in 30 years, and I've since then been fully committed on the foundation. I now chair the foundation. I get to chair these events. It's an honor beyond description, quite frankly.
Well, thank you for all the great work that you've done. Congratulations, welcome back, and all that good stuff. And we're looking forward to April the 11th. And of course, we'll continue to let the public know. Thank you so much, Myrna.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, listen, we're taking a quick break. We got more shows. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this. And there concludes our interview with Myrna Rivera. Listen, it is the end of our show, and yes, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank our guests for joining us, but most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, we're on 33. or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. For all of us here on the set of Open, I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and let's keep this channel wide open.